Hello again. We're talking business turnaround. Quite often people say to me, what are the things that you do to turn around a business? Is there a set formula? Is there a process? Well, there's an overall process, as we've discussed previously, including, the 5 stages of diagnose, plan the turnaround, implement it, etc. But in terms of a set formula, then there really isn't one. One has to be creative, respond to the situation that you're in, etc. But there are certain things that you can do that would help to implement a successful turnaround. Some of the things that I've traditionally done in most situations where I've been invited in to see if we can improve a business performance. So I'd like to go through some of those with you today. So looking at one or two tips, or two tips in actual fact, I'd like to discuss briefly today in our business turnaround strategy. The first question I ask when I go into an organisation is, well, where are the profits made? Because quite often we don't know. Everything's put into one pot. All the sales from all the products are put in there. All the costs are all put into one pot, and we're not quite sure which of those is making the most profit and which of them, if any, is making a loss. And we don't know that. Sometimes we have a gut feel about it, and we know that a certain product line is profitable because it's always been that way, and we have a feeling that another product is not so profitable because of the amount of hassle it may be giving us, and when we're actually producing it. So that's not good enough. We've got to actually do some analysis and break it down and look at the costs or allocate costs. And I'm talking about direct costs here because we're looking at gross margin. Identify what costs are associated with each particular product line, the sales against it, and calculate the profits or the gross margin against each of them. So I'm going to go through a very simple mathematical example now. It is just a very, very basic model. So we've got a company that's selling 100. Gross margin is currently operating at 29, overheads of 30. So we've got a loss-making situation. It's a modest loss, but nevertheless, it is a loss. So we analyze the product line. And in this particular case, we've got four products. You can see from this particular model that with product line A is actually not making any money. It's operating at a gross margin loss for whatever reasons, we don't know. As I said, this is a mathematical exercise just to show you how this thing works. So we can see that our margin was intended to be 40% in this particular situation, but we're only operating at 29%, which is not sufficient contribution to overheads. Because at the end of the day, that's what our gross margin is. It is a contribution towards overheads. If we make more margin than overheads, then we get an over recovery of our overheads, which is our profit. It's as simple as that. So, obvious thing to do is take out product line A, and what happens? Now, some people will say, we don't want to do that. It's sales, it's volume, we need to retain the customer. Well, sorry, but we can't really afford to do that. We can't operate at a loss for a particular customer. So we take out product line A, and what happens is that our sales go down from 100 down to 80, which is quite a drop. Our gross margin, however, it goes up to 36, which now means that we've got a gross margin of 45% on a turnover of 80. So it's a higher gross margin in absolute terms and in percentage terms, so more efficient, and that's going to impact directly upon the product profitability of the business. So we're now into profit at modest 7.5%. So that's a simple example of looking at our product lines, our service lines, identifying why is the product profitability of this particular business made. Next thing is increasing the top line. Quite often in a turnaround situation, the reason for decline is because sales have declined. Question I always ask is, well, who is doing the selling? Often in a small company, that is nobody. Or it's somebody doing it part-time, or it's somebody doing it from the office, or it may be that we have one particular salesperson who is not effective. we can't afford to employ somebody, we're making it a loss. So we're making it a loss, so we can't afford to employ somebody. So what do? We don't do any selling, and we don't do any marketing. And if we're doing marketing, what we tend to be doing sometimes these days is looking purely at social media, where in actual fact what we need to be doing is talking directly to customers, and that's the only way that we'll actually sell our products and our services. So what I would do in a situation like this in a turnaround is reorganize. And quite often the best person to do the selling is the managing director or the CEO, providing they have the technical competence to understand the product or service line that the company provides. And you'll find that if the managing director is out there on the road doing the selling, then that creates a really good impression amongst customers. The managing director thinks that they're important enough to go and talk to them, whether that's online, whether that's face to face or on the telephone, doesn't really matter. The other thing is, of course, that the managing director can make decisions quite quickly on margins and price, which perhaps a salesperson won't be able to do. So the alternative to that is we find somebody else within the organization, or maybe more than one people. And I often find that in a business, there are people that are quite capable within the organization to do the selling. We don't always have to go and rush off and employ somebody. And finding the right kind of salesman, I can tell you, is a nightmare. A salesperson is a nightmare. So, all right, so 2 tips there talking about who is doing the selling in your organization. That's one question to ask. And the second is, where are our profits made? That's it for me for the moment. And we'll speak again soon. I hope this has been of interest to you. Thank you. Bye.